Hey everybody, and welcome to Cameras and Coffee for this very early morning. So 2 years ago today, my now late dog Cheever woke me up at 6 a.m., maybe a few minutes before, with a very afraid, alert bark that I don't think I'd ever heard before, but I recognized what it was. I went out to my living room because I heard some rustling, and there was a guy in a hoodie and with his hand on my front door and his arms full of his arm full of cameras, and could not see his face at all. The light in the living room was behind him. The hoodie was up, his entire face was in just darkness. He ran out the front door. Got away with my Nikon F4, my Olympus M1, but worst of all, my Pentax K1000, which was my first SLR. None of them, in 2 years, none of them have turned up on eBay. There's been no report of any of the serial numbers online, anything like that. So, as tends to be today is now the second anniversary of that event. And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking a lot about anger in the camera industry. Mostly, interestingly, about manufactured anger, because over the span of around that time that break-in happened, I was visiting camera forums less and less because I was realizing that more and more the camera forums were just people talking about how great their brand of camera was and how bad all the other brands of camera are. I started thinking about who does that actually benefit, and why is there all of this manufactured anger around brands? There's plenty of reasons to have real anger. Being woken up to find out that two cameras you like and one that is incredibly important to you are in somebody else's hands and they're going out the front door. That's a good one. So I've spent a lot of time over the past few weeks thinking about all of the manufactured brand anger. And but it's not just cameras, it's everything. People like being angry. And so I started thinking about the nature of anger and who benefits from it. Realistically, I think that it's the manufacturers. It sounds weird, doesn't it? People are angry because they don't like something a manufacturer makes, and then that manufacturer benefits. Brand anger across the street from where I live, there's a fairly conservative mega church, and a number of their members live in this building. And they, until the pandemic, hosted monthly free dinners for anybody in the building who'd like to attend. No strings attached. Definitely not making conversion attempts. And so we went to a couple of them early on. And so residents would go, and then members of the church across the street would attend, and of course there was no conversion attempt. Yes, there was definitely a low-key conversion attempt. The people here who host them don't try to convert anybody, but the other church members who attend, because they're invited, of course, would. And that brought me to the psychology of conversion. Conversion practice, and I've lived in the South. I've known a lot of people who have attended fundamentalist churches or churches where conversion practice is part of the doctrine. none of them have ever been successful at converting a single person, and that's because conversion practice is not about bringing new butts into seats. It's about keeping existing butts in seats. When people fail at converting people into their faith, it is used as a way, at least here in the US, to further ingrain the already present members into that faith so that they don't leave. It's a method of control. And I started thinking about manufactured brand anger being the exact same thing. It's a method of control. It's not an unreasonable psychological reaction to get into a brand fight. Which of these brands is better? Which has the better lens? Which has the better shutter speed or spec or high ISO? Whatever it is, whatever frankly unimportant thing people want to argue about, and do so. It's not unheard of then for somebody to leave one of those and go buy more stuff from the brand that they like. So manufactured anger benefits the brand. It doesn't, people being angry that somebody likes some other brand doesn't change that person who likes the other brand. It doesn't make that other brand better. It only serves to take the person who's already into the brand they like and further entrench them in that brand. So why do we allow ourselves to get mad about this? Why does brand matter? Especially now in digital cameras, when the majority of the components in them are being made from the same handful of manufacturers anyway. Nikon's and Pentax's share sensors. Sony's use some of the same sensors as those cameras. Some of the lower end cameras use sensors from third-party, Canons use third-party sensors. I gotta imagine Pentax and Olympus, a lot of the cell phone makers, most of their sensors are coming out of China or Japan anyway, from the same handful of makers. What does brand matter? And so, I guess what I'd like you to think about today, as you go away from this video, is not just brand anger, but anger in general. Who benefits from it? And all of this stems from, as I opened up talking about the break-in that happened 2 years ago this morning. My anger about that, my anger about it, the way that it fundamentally changed my life, and the remaining 2 months that we lived in that apartment, putting boxes in front of the window that was the guy climbed through so that it couldn't happen again, putting a chair in front of the door so that no one could come in through the front door at night, things like that. When we moving to an apartment that had secure access on the top floor of it, and frankly, if anyone can scale the wall to get up here, they deserve help carrying whatever cameras they can take out to their car. But moving into a place that we chose for a lot of good reasons, proximity to public transit and all that, but also because it would be more secure. But then even with that, the ice maker in the fridge waking me up, coming out to the living room to find out whether it was the ice maker or someone in my apartment, and not getting back to sleep many, many, many times that happened. That's a cause for real anger, because that's a detriment to my life. Long-term one, a very long-term one. Losing 3 cameras, not the end of the world. No one was hurt. They weren't there. One of them was of sentimental value, one of them was fairly expensive, and the other one, the Nikon, it's an F4. Is what it is. But at any rate, all of that all of that and that F4, by the way, is the one that was in my video manuals. At any rate, all of that aside, that's something worth being truly angry about. And I guess one of the things to be thankful for in that event was that over the last 2 years, it's gotten me thinking a lot more about the nature of what people should actually be mad about, and all of the manufactured anger about which brand is better because it goes to 3 stops or 2 stops faster of an ISO or whatever. Who cares? It just seems so incredibly insignificant. But it's not just brand anger. My old job, they used to have the TV on, and sometimes they'd put it to one of the news, big air quotes, channels. Lots of different talking heads stating opinions and being angry. Lots and lots of anger in those shows. Who benefited from it? Well, that anger certainly has done nothing whatsoever to help bring people together. And so what I've been thinking about with all of this is the way that anger fundamentally serves to divide people, and how that is its one use. So when you see somebody getting angry because somebody else likes a different camera brand, because someone else is a different faith, someone doesn't want to attend their church, someone else has a different political viewpoint, whatever it is they're getting angry about, who is benefiting from that anger? It's not the person who's angry, and it's not the person they are ostensibly angry at. But there are so many people who reinforce that anger because someone's a different skin color than them. What a stupid reason to even be angry. If you're gonna be angry or hate something for someone they can control, not something they can't control. But all of that, when we are angry, what it does is it serves to break us apart from other people. And so the people who benefit from that anger are the people who want to encourage us not to interact with other people. Camera makers benefit because when someone gets angry about a brand, they're more inclined to stick with their brand and buy more of it. We talked about my friends who have done conversion churches and who have never successfully converted a person, but who have continued to attend, or continued for many years to attend those churches, because the psychology was that failure encouraged them to keep going. Anger about race, who benefits from that? Probably the people who run the organizations that encourage that. Anger about politics, who benefits from that? The political parties. So as I've been thinking about the nature of my own anger about the break-in that happened 2 years ago this morning, what I've really been thinking about is the nature of anger in general, and how important it is when we feel ourselves getting angry to ask who, if anyone, will benefit from this, why it is that we're getting angry, and what potential good could come of that anger. And the general answer will be, if anyone benefits, it's someone else, not us. Why we're getting angry? Most of the time, those reasons, not that important. Most of the things that make people angry on a day-to-day basis aren't going to matter in a few months, let alone a decade or a century. And is what we're angry about worth getting angry about? Usually not. Do I miss my cameras that were stolen? I miss the K1000 a lot because it was a sentimental camera. It had importance to me. I'll never own another one, that said, because of that. At least not one that I'm going to keep in my collection. So, but am I mad at the person who broke in? Little. Mad because of all of the times that I have missed out on sleep because of it. Mad about the handful of changes in my life I've had to make, certainly. Mad that we live in a society that allows people to live in such straits that they feel the need to break into someone's apartment. I have to assume that whoever did it needed money. What we should be mad about is the fact that that is allowed to happen. That somebody is allowed to be in a position where they have to break into someone's apartment in order to pay for their bills. That's my assumption that that's why he chose to do it. Hey. And to that end, I suspect that's the only thing in life that's really worth getting mad about, are the conditions in life that are changeable, that still, despite the fact that they can be changed, we allow to lead to people having a worse quality of life. That we should all be mad about. Right, Steinbeck? Steinbeck doesn't care. He's a dog. He's got a great life. He eats, he goes for walks, he chases rabbits. What more could he possibly want? So that would be my big takeaway. Next time you see somebody getting mad about a camera brand or whatever camera-related thing, I guess the big question is it worth engaging? Is it worth getting mad about? Or is it worth looking at what unifies us, the fact that we both enjoy taking photos? Maybe of the same subjects, maybe of different subjects. Probably both enjoy improving our practice. So I suspect, what I'm going to say in closing is this. Anger is an opportunity to respond to it as a call to unify. It's an indication that there is something trying to divide us from other people that is worth walking away from, whatever that source of anger is, so that instead we can look at what we have in common with people. That's the most important thing. Hopefully someday my K1000 will appear on eBay. Sure would like to get that back. Anyway, time to go, pup. Let's go. Let's get up. We got stuff to do today. Come on. We got a busy day ahead of us. Let's go. Let's go.